Hello, brothers and sisters of YouTube. I have officially come to the decision that the Star Wars fans who are criticizing the movie know nothing about Star Wars. God! It's annoying! Literally annoying! And something I need to preface beforehand. Because lots of my bits that I'm going to say are going to be, oh, it was explained in the expanded universe, in Legends. And you're going to say, well, Legends isn't canon anymore. That's when I go, excuse me. You're telling me that J.J. motherfucking Abrams, who put tons of your fan theories into the movie for you, isn't going to include lore from the series that the fans love more? The man who is following the fan theories for you is going to follow Legends. So I'm sorry, but since he's trying to be one for the fans, I'm going to take lore from the fans. So, sorry. But using that lore, it basically takes all your grievances and goes, what? You make no sense for arguing this. Why are you even complaining? What? So, I've got my blanket, my cup of joe, and by the way, no, I won't be going over every single problem. Because I've got my likes and dislikes and problems, and I watched tons of spoiler reviews now for the Rise of Skywalker, and I watched their complaints until it literally made me physically tired to keep watching them say the same thing, and me just think, that's easily explained, why are you even arguing? It's mind-numbing. It's like, let me refer you to this comic book. Do you know about it? No? Then back off, please. Because, it's a headache for me. Just a headache. And as I said, yes, I'm going to be using Legends lore. But only because J.J. Abrams included your fan theories, so he's going to include fan lore. In my personal opinion, that's how you can use it. And people didn't complain about it when it happened in Legends, so why complain about it when it happens again here? Even if Legends isn't canon anymore, it happened and nobody complained about it back then. Why complain about it now? So, I've got a list. Okay. Let's start off with my problems with the film. The love triangle. With how Finn is like, oh, Rey, I have something to tell you. And then, Rey's like, well, what was that thing you were going to tell me? And Finn's like, I'll tell you later. And Poe is just out of nowhere, oh, when I'm not around? It's like, okay, did you take out the tape measures here? Because if not, why are you arguing? There's no point in arguing other than there's a woman nearby that you might compete for. And even then, stick it back in your pants! You're trying to save the world from an apocalypse, and all you can think with is those? What the fuck is wrong with you? Save the time for arguing over a woman when the world's not in danger. Seriously. Come on. That is my major annoyance. That they're bickering over that. And then, and by the way, yes, this is spoiler section. And then they find their own two little loves that they can be with, potentially. Which ruins the whole point of that argument in the first place. Why? Why were they bickering? They went from in The Force Awakens being like blood-bound brothers that would do anything for each other. And Poe never even met Rey until The Last Jedi. And all of a sudden, they're fighting over? When did blood-bound brothers start bickering over a chick? Excuse me? Have you no morals? Really? Come on. That I found just annoying. Okay. The dagger. The fucking dagger. Okay. With how it was written in Sith on the blade and all that, perfectly fine. No worries. I was perfectly fine with that. I was like, okay, they're going to search the wreckage of the Death Star. No problem. The problem comes in where she lines up the shape of the dagger against the wreckage that's there. There's no way in all high hell that somebody made this dagger before the Death Star crashed down. Meaning that whoever was here and made the dagger specifically for that shape, for one, how could they have known to use it at that exact spot? Unless that was like the only island for a very long while. That might explain it. But if somebody went through the time and effort to make that so perfectly shaped to the wreckage, why not go get it yourself? And then be like, oh, it's about here. In a secret vault. No, instead you make this cryptic-ass puzzle dagger? What? Why? No. No. Okay. C-3PO and Chewie death. This... I was at peace with them at first. And then the movie said, no, fuck you. And I said, well, fuck you too. Basically what happens. First, it's Chewie. They believe he's on a transport that's being taken and he's arrested by the First Order. Rey tries to use the Force to pull the ship back, which for some reason some reviewers have been saying, oh my god, she must be godly powerful to stop a transport because of how big it is. Have you watched The Empire Strikes Back? What was Yoda's main lesson? Size doesn't matter. So don't use that as an argument, please. That was established in the original trilogy, that size doesn't matter. So, shove it. To my knowing, it's not size, it's the amount of objects you can levitate at once. That's to my knowing. The amount of objects you can control at once, which that will come up later. That will indeed come up later. But anyway, so Kylo is trying to let the ship go while Rey is trying to pull it in, and they have this struggle back and forth until finally Rey just blasts lightning and destroys it. And everybody thinks, oh my god, Chewie's dead. I was absolutely fine with Chewie dying that way. Like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my god. Oh my god. And I was shocked. But at the same time, I'm like, this is the end. It is the apocalypse movie. I get it. fully fine with it. He had to go sometime. But then the very next scene, it's like, oh, by the way, he's alive. And it's like, fuck you for playing with my heartstrings there. God damn. And then another problem with that, with what reviewers are thinking. She shot the lightning, and reviewers are just like, well, how does she instantly know lightning? She doesn't know it, you twat. That's the point. And then it's like, well, how does she use it? Because you need to learn a power to be able to use it. No, you fucking don't. Here's my first use of Legends lore. Star Wars, The Old Republic. I think it's the Dark Empire series or whatever, where Vitiate, the old man with the all-white armor, he has a daughter, and the daughter keeps going through the arena trying to be as good as her brothers with her bow staff, trying to fight off the metal guards, and they keep kicking her ass and kicking her ass and kicking her ass. And then eventually, she gets so angry, she doesn't know how to use the Force, she hasn't been trained in it. She gets so angry that the guy swings a stick at her, and she just... and you just see her hand twitching, and then every guard around her starts getting lifted up into the air, and their armor is crushing in on them and killing them. Until eventually, somebody yells for her to stop, and she snaps out of it. And then there's all kinds of crushed dead bodies around. You don't need to know a power to use it. The Force is not something you need to train in. It's all about confidence and extreme emotion. Drawing on your emotions is what does it. Notice how every time somebody is being taught how to use the Force, it's control your emotions, temper them, learn to control them. That's the whole premise. Your emotions are the Force. They are what help you do things. Like Jedi, the light side of the Force is enhanced by feeling at peace, feeling at completely calm, and at the same time feeling love. Now, feeling love is only shown by Darth Revan and a few other gray Jedi, because for some reason the Jedi Order just completely abolishes love. I mean, I understand why they do it, because then there's a chance that some people might get too attached and lose somebody and be like, oh no, now I'm on the dark side. When really it's like, if you feel enough love and you temper that love, that makes the light side of the Force more powerful. You could become literally one of the strongest Jedi in history if you just feel love. Okay. So, her emotions were angry that Kylo was stopping her from getting Chewie. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to blah, 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 blah. Dark side. Dark side. Duh! Sorry that was difficult for you. It's just, having heard so many people say so many things, that I've just been like, come on. You should already know this. It's been a headache, to say the least. And then C-3PO. Oh my god, C-3PO. He can't speak something in Sith. So, they have to break into his mind. Problem number one. Why not you just copy down his memory and save it, and then do this, then put his memory back in after? Huh. You know, that was really difficult to think about. No, it wasn't. And then, the other things. I would have been fine if they decided that it was time for C-3PO to be taken out of the trilogy, or out of the entire Star Wars saga. I would have been fine with that. Like, if they were like, okay, his memory's gonna be wiped, he's gonna be nothing. If they got the info and then were like, well, since his memory's gone, he's not really C-3PO anymore. He'd just be an empty shell reminding us of C-3PO. I'd have been fine if they made it to where they just never activated him again and just left him there in respect. Because that's what you were trying to aim for, an emotional pull, thinking that C-3PO was going to be completely gone. Nope. R2-D2 just boop, brings him back. And he's like, wait, what happened? And it's like, you could have just let him die. But instead, you tug on our heartstrings and then let them go to sting us again. It's like, excuse me? No. No. You don't do that. So I would have been fine if they had just been like, oh, C-3PO, yeah, his memory's gone, so we'll just leave him here on this planet. And it's annoying as hell and disrespectful as hell when they bring him along after his memory's gone. They're just like, hey, C-3PO, come along with us. And he's like, but I don't know you. Oh, my first firefight. Oh, my first this, my first that. And he's so clumsy. And everybody's like, oh, this is annoying. And it's like, why didn't you just respectfully leave him there like he was dead? Why not? Instead, you're like, oh, come along, even though you have no memories and you don't know us and you're not the friend we used to have. You're an empty shell of him. So, you know. But, of course, if you killed Chewbacca and if you killed C-3PO, all the fans would be upset, blah, blah, blah. I get why you didn't do it. Because the fans, I get it. It's just still annoying that you even toyed with it, knowing that you weren't going to do it. Okay. The other thing that I complained about in the non-spoiler video, Finn questioning Poe's piloting. What the fuck? Man, that's a warm cup of joe. So, basically, Poe hyperspace skips. Just boom to a planet, boom to a planet, boom to a planet. And Finn is like, well, how can you do that? How are you doing that? And I was just thinking, you established in the first movie how he was one of the greatest pilots ever. How he was so amazing, can take out TIE fighters like nothing, is great at flying. And you're questioning him being great at flying? What? Why are you questioning it when you literally established he was a great pilot? You literally freed him from the First Order in the first movie because he was a great pilot. Now you're questioning it? What? It also brings up the problem with their blood brother relationship, basically, of why are you questioning your blood? Why are you bringing your blood brother into question in suspicion? Why? There's no point to it. And then, later in the movie, Poe hotwires something. And Finn is like, how do you know how to do that? Excuse me, one of the world's greatest pilots, and you don't think that maybe once or twice he might have gotten stuck behind enemy lines? That maybe he might need to know how to hotwire something to escape? Wouldn't that be base military training if you are in a plane? Learning how to take an enemy plane. Duh! But instead he's like, how do you know how to do that? I know you're a perfect pilot and you're all that. And we've already established your character, but how do you know how to be a perfect pilot? And it's like, we've been over this. Why are you questioning that? And at the end of it, you find out that, oh, Poe was a spice runner, and that's how he knows how to do it. You know, you could have just said that he was a great pilot. You didn't have to explain it as a spice runner. Like, I mean, it adds great backstory. I love it. Adds more... It makes it to where the character is less perfect and more relatable. And it also gets behind the thing of Star Wars stories always being like a hero can come from anywhere. So, nice job on that one. I'll commend you on that one. I just don't see why Finn is questioning it. It's like, you're, for one, his brother, so don't bring him into suspicion. Like, not literal brother, but like, brother in how much they care for each other. And plus, it's already been established with the character that he's amazing with ships and vehicles, so don't question when he's amazing and great with vehicles. Duh. And then another thing with Poe's piloting. Some people questioned. They were saying, oh, Poe can just jump into atmosphere now. Well, in the original series, Han was like, oh, you can't jump into the atmosphere. That's super risky. And so it's basically like, okay, it makes sense if you're going directly at the planet, even one slight mistake in timing and you're crashed into the planet. But basically, when they're using Han to explain how something is risky, that's when I say, have you seen Solo? Because that's in the main canon now. Han didn't know jack shit about flying. He didn't know jack diddly fucking squat. Han is literally the dumbest pilot ever. And then you say, oh, well, in the original trilogy, he went through an asteroid field when it should have been impossible, and blah, 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 and blah. And it's like, that is explained in Solo too, and AI is in his ship, and the AI is what actually is flying. The AI knows how to fly, and Han is just pressing buttons like a kid at a toy store. So Han saying, oh, that's too risky, is him being unwilling to admit that he's fucking incompetent at flying. So, somebody who has been established as amazing and great at flying versus somebody who says it should be impossible who doesn't know anything about flying, you're going to trust the word of the guy who doesn't know almost anything about flying over the one who's done it, been there, and is good at it. I'm sorry, but I don't care who spoke first. He may have shot first, but I don't trust the words that came first when it comes to competence. Okay. Palpatine's lightning versus sabers. This one was ridiculous. And ironic. How Palpatine dies is ridiculous. Rey has two lightsabers that she's holding like this and walking towards Palpatine. And Palpatine just continues with lightning. Did you not learn the effects of that the last time you did it, dumbass? Only I have the power to save the ones you love. Oh wait, my lightning's hitting me. How about I aim for your feet? Yeah, that was effective. Huh. You know, that was more effective than I thought it was going to be. And here, he's just aiming right at the lightsabers. Her coming right at him. And he's not learned not to shoot lightning at a lightsaber. Especially not too. And she just gets point blank on him, and he's just, the lightning is killing me. And I know it's a way of getting around the whole strike me down and I shall become you thing, because he strikes down himself. But it doesn't make sense when it comes to the logic of the Emperor. I'm all-powerful, but I don't learn from a mistake that was literally established earlier. Like, you die by the same way you became the Emperor. God, I found that ridiculous. And also, whenever Palpatine was at his base power in Revenge of the Sith, when he's shooting the lightning at Mace, and Mace is catching it with two hands, having to struggle with all his strength to fight against the lightning, and they're in this power clutch. And in the novelization, it says that the blade starts to bend and almost crack, and that they're actually in a strong contest. That's still canon, by the way. Rey, in this, holds up a lightsaber with one hand. And by the way, Palpatine isn't his normal power anymore. He now has all of the Sith inside of him. All of them. He has the power to take down starships with lightning. So to give you a power comparison there, basically, yeah. If he even shot the tiniest bolt of lightning, that saber is... Now let's talk about this. Sorry, but that lightsaber ain't stopping Jack in shit. Especially if at his base power, it was cracking and bending to stop the stuff. And in this, he is like 10,000 times as powerful. It's like, even if I use two hands, this isn't doing anything. And you might say, oh, well, she has two sabers. Okay. He's not... With his base power, he almost shattered a lightsaber. So, he is 10,000 times as powerful as he was. Let's put that in comparison. One of his powers almost shatters a lightsaber, so let's say it takes two of his amount of power to shatter a lightsaber. Since she has two lightsabers, it should take 4 times the amount of power. Is 4 equal to 10,000? No! 10,000 times the power? Those lightsabers that you're so stalwart with should be blown away! Shattered and exploded in your hands? Or just, that didn't work. It's like, I wonder. No, dot didn't work. But somehow, like, I know Rey's supposed to have the power of all the Jedi and all that, but it doesn't make her arms unbreakable steel, and it doesn't increase the strength of the lightsabers themselves. I mean, technically you can explain it through by saying that since the Kyber crystals are an extension of the Jedi themselves, that she just used the Force to amplify the power of the crystals and amplify the power of it. So I just explained my own problem with it. There you go. Okay, Kylo's ship crash. Okay, he says that the reason he doesn't shoot and all that is because he's testing her. Okay, I guess I'm fine with that. And then she slices off one wing of it, and his ship just... until one wing flies off, and then boom! His little ball becomes a gerbil ball that just goes up in flames, rolling around, and then boom! And you're like, holy shit, he has to be dead. And he walks out of it like... And it's like... I just saw you fucking gerbil ball down the fucking desert in a flaming ball that then exploded! You don't even have a scratch on you! It doesn't even look like you're dizzy! The fuck? And you can't say he ejected earlier or anything. It literally shows him in it as he's crashing. So it's like, I've seen worse kill fully trained Jedi on the Jedi Council. How did you survive? And how did you not even get a scratch from it? The old, still functioning ship. There's a ship they find in the desert that has been sitting there for, I'd say, about 30 years, maybe 20, depending on Rey's age. And that whole time the ship's there, nobody decides to come by, get in it, drive it away, scavenge it, nothing. Do what? And they do establish the thought that, oh, the people on this planet are all festival lovers and they're all kind people. Forgive me for thinking that there's a planet out, or forgive me for doubting that there's a planet out there with perfectly good people. Because I just don't see that. I'm sorry. And then a personal problem that I have with the story. It doesn't create any plot problems. It's just a personal problem. Which I understand why you did it. I get it. But I don't like that you did it. I wish you could have done something else. But no. You do this. You kill Kylo. And no, I'm not saying, oh, killed the dark side. No, I'm just going to call him Kylo because it sounds cooler, and I think he's earned the ability to call himself whatever he wants after the badass, cool redemption. It's like, you know what? I say he's badass enough. He can keep that title as a good guy. You are Kylo Ren, kicker of ass, taker of names. Just walk in and be like, I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm fine with that. I honestly loved Kylo's redemption. How it's all about love and it's all of that. And I honestly loved it. And it is believable to me. Not only just for love, but also because he had a near-death experience and thought, this is the legacy I leave behind? And you might think, what near-death experience did he have? Oh, maybe Rey plunging a lightsaber right in him? Like, he hears his mother calling to him, and he's like... And then... Poof, and Rey is just... full of sinister evil look, like, holy shit. She is sinister to the core here. Just... Poof, right in Kylo, and he's like... and just... like, he just... in hole right here, just... and he's not making any sounds. He's just laying there, and you might think, oh, that's unrealistic. But if you notice, he's not looking at her. He's not looking around in bewilderment like you might expect. Because, yeah, you'd do that if you were in a near-death situation. But he's a Force user, so you can just say, oh, he can take the pain. All that. Because it was already established that he has a pain tolerance from taking a bowcaster blast to the stomach. But he just lays there, and if you watch him, which my eyes were on him, they weren't on Rey, he just lays there, looking off in the distance, not with dead eyes, but with eyes of, is this really the past I leave behind? Is this really all I am? Destroyer of the world? Nothing? I could have been so much more. And then Rey gets down near him, and he just kind of looks at her, and she starts healing him. And she heals him. And she's like, I do love you, but I love Ben, not Kylo. And so that's the side of love that's like, hey, be Ben, be a good guy. But at the same time, he was literally there dying. And he's like, Is this all I left behind? Really? And it makes it a genuine thing. Now we're getting into what I like. Which, by the way, I only have 5 things that I like written down, but by no means think that that means that, oh, the movie was bad because he doesn't like so many things about it. No, that's not what's going on here. I love the movie. Like, absolutely love it. But these are the only things that I wanted to comment on. Kylo is not a bitch anymore. That's for damn sure. Like, in the beginning of the movie, I was sitting there watching it, and when it got to Kylo's scene, I was like, oh god, this guy's the leader again. He's such a bitch. Whoa! Like, I was thinking, man, this pushover, man, he always gets bossed around. He doesn't have any amount of power, yada yada. Literally, somebody speaks up to him, and he chokes them and throws them to the ceiling and is like, anybody else? And seeing that lady just be taken out of her chair to the ceiling, I literally flinched in my chair, like, ho. I was like, okay, he's not a pushover anymore. Got it. Oh, that's scary. Oh, shit. Like, he didn't just do the basic choke. Just... Anybody else? So, yeah. I love that intro being like, he has taken unto his own. He is not a bitch. Step up to him if you dare. And I'm just thinking, got it. Hux does something right. Sorry. Soon as I thought that he did something right, the only image that came to my mind was... I didn't expect that at all, and it was hilarious, but at the same time, I was like, no, he just became a good guy. He was just about to get good. Even though his motivations for being a good guy weren't so great, he became a good guy. So, I mean, there's that. So he's a good guy, and he's like, hey, shoot me in the arm so that they won't realize that I'm a traitor. And so Finn's like, why are you being good? And this is where his being a good guy started to fall apart for me. He's like, I don't care if the Resistance wins or loses. I just want Kylo to lose. And at that point, I'm like, oh, okay, so it's just jealousy and anger. It's not actually being a good guy. And so for that, Finn doesn't shoot him in the arm. He blasts him in the leg. And Hux is just... He's there like... The look on his face is like, why the leg? But at the same time, he's like, I get it. Just go. Ow! Fuck you! So the very next scene, he's got his cane, and he's like, they forced me to lead me to their ship. They shot me, and they were threatening to kill me, blah, blah, blah. And so Admiral Pride, he basically just has a stormtrooper hand him a blaster. And he's like, thank you. And again, Hux just gets shot right here, sent flying across the room. And he just ragdolls. He just all the way across the room. Like, front of the bridge, back of the bridge. And it's like, what did you have that set to? Obliterate? God. You just... He wasn't flying. And so, honestly, that got a chuckle out of me. But at the same time, I was like, he could have been good. He could have been a good guy. Darn. And there is some Rey training, which I love how they include that. Finally, what the fans wanted. I have seen fans complaining about it, though. And it's like, wait a minute, you're complaining when you asked for it for so long? Why? Why are you complaining? It makes no sense. You can't have your cake and eat it too. So I liked that there was some Rey training. Finally, they listened to the fans, which that's what J.J. Abrams did in this whole film. Included fan theories, included all the fan stuff. And yet none of the fans are appreciating him doing what they finally asked for. Like, come on. The Force Bond. I'm one of the people who absolutely loved the Force Bond. I got such a grin on my face when Rey took her saber behind her head to like strike at the Emperor, and then just comes up with an empty hand. And at first I was like, don't tell me you just dropped the saber. And then in the other scene, because I thought that Kylo and Rey in the Force connection were face to face, and so I thought that like when she swung, it wouldn't hit the Emperor, but it would hit Kylo, and that like he was giving his life or something. But no, she just empty hand, and I'm like, wait, what? And then Kylo is just, and I'm just like, that was perfect. Yes. And oh my god. Like, Kylo is completely surrounded. He has no idea what he can do. He's completely fucked. He gets his ass kicked. And he's there, which, I mean, I was about to say just use the Force and be like, whoosh. But then I'm like, they're other Force users, so they can protect against the Force, so can't exactly do that. But yeah, he just reaches behind and pulls out a saber, and then when all the other soldiers are like, where'd he get that? He's just like, and he shrugs like, what can I say? I'm just that good. And I love that egotistical shrug. I love it. It wasn't a bad egotistical shrug. It was perfect. That was just the perfect gesture to put with that, like, and it's just like, oh, you perfect Sly Devil. And then, another thing with the Force Bond that people are complaining about, when the necklace was pulled through, and Kylo had somebody analyze it, the fans are like, well, how did they identify it as that particular planet? How did they know? And wow, it's really convenient that she was wearing that necklace. And to which I say, okay. You're saying it's convenient she was wearing that necklace to identify where she was at. To which I say, have you ever been a tourist any time in your life? Yes? Did you get any memorabilia while you were out being a tourist? Yes. Awfully convenient that tourist stuff identifies you. Really convenient. Especially if you went to a festival to get it. Oh my god. No, it's not like you'd ever get memorabilia from a festival if you were a tourist. No, not at all. Duh! And so that kind of annoyed me. One thing that made me cry easily like 3 out of the 5 times that I cried during the film is the respect that they give for Carrie Fisher. Like, I think that really added an emotional weight to the film for me. And plus, seeing how the actors acted around her, like, I know that she wasn't in the film, that technically was just stuff from before, but how the actors decided to act with it, the crying, and all that, it's like, you know that the actors themselves were holding back tears because of them thinking about the fact that they just lost somebody that they loved. And so, seeing the respect paid, the veil put over her, and how her life is a meaningful sacrifice, and not just a throwaway like Han and Luke. It is so perfect, so meaningful, and it is great. And every time that I saw the veil for Carrie Fisher, or Carrie Fisher at all, I just wanted to cry and pray for her. Like, because again, she's an amazing person, or was an amazing person. And me being the Star Wars fan that I am, deeply loving the fandom, like, I know I never knew her in person, I know that, but even the factor that she was one of the main leaders of a fandom that I was part of, and Star Wars is a family. Since Star Wars is a family, it is like losing a family member. It felt extreme seeing that. And I cried when I first saw in the news that she had passed. And seeing her die in the movie, I'm having a problem that I get when I'm sad, and that's my throat begins to close. I'm not crying like I was at the movie, but it seriously was a heart-touching bit. As I said, I easily cried 3 times out of the 5 times I watched. Or, not... Sorry. 3 out of the 5 times that I cried was because of her. And ever since about a year ago, I haven't been able to cry out of both eyes at all. I've only been able to cry out of my right eye. And this one, it's like the tear ducts just died. But upon watching this, that actually made me cry out of both eyes. For the first time in almost over a year. That's really rare for me. And I love the respect that's paid. And JJ said that the scenes would seem like they were meant to be. And they did. I don't know how he did it. So many things were like, they recorded that? What were they going to use it for otherwise? Because everything was supposed to be recorded for a different movie or for something else. So, why did they have footage of... There were some things that were like, wait, what did they record that for? And it honestly did seem like it was meant to be. In a really weird but respectful and good way. It was like, wow. And so, I just gotta give that as props to the film. It was amazing and perfect, and that was great. Honestly. Anyway. More problems with the film. I've already talked about how the restored memory removes the weight of 3PO's sacrifice. The magic blockade chip. Okay. The lady has a blockade chip that can just get you past a blockade. No questions asked. Anybody who's ever dealt with computer code that would be involved with that knows that there is no master key. There's a master key for a certain thing. Like, oh, this blockade that's over at this planet, this is the key to it. I'd believe that. But for her, it's just like, yep, it's a key for any blockade anywhere in the world. Or anywhere in the galaxy. It's like, that's not how that works. I hope you know that. No. That's like when DJ just stuck a piece of metal in and somehow it worked as hacking. What? No. And then Death Star cannons. What the fuck? Like, yes, Death Star. The Death Star needs to be super large. And then there's cannons on the Star Destroyer that are not so large, still have the same power. But now I can find a way to explain this. The Star Destroyers are summoned by Palpatine's power, which meant a few fans are like, well, how can he just summon these? How can he just do that? What? It's like, I'm sorry, but that's not all that questionable for me. You think it not possible? I think it very, very possible. Basically, what I mean is he summons all the Star Destroyers with the Force, right? And he has the Force powers of billions of Sith, right? All packed into one. So why is it so unbelievable that billions and billions of Sith worth of power could conjure up Star Destroyers? Then you'd say, well, what Force power makes you be able to create matter? There's a Force power specifically for that. But guess what? It's from Legends. And it's a dark side only power. Force alchemy, I think it is. I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, but somewhere around the lines of that, there's a Force power to create anything you want, to change your figure, all that. So, yeah. He has the power of billions of Sith. So don't think that it's like, oh, how can one Sith do that? He's got the power of billions. Get over it. Plus, in Legends, one Sith, just one, can destroy an entire planet. You know Darth Nihilus? If I'm not wrong, as soon as he sets foot on a planet, he can suck the life from the entire planet. Yeah, that's a power he had. So, considering that that can be the power of one Sith, and Sidious has the power of 10 billion at this point, pretty sure there's no questioning the powers he has. He can create any power he wants at that point. It's like, oh, there's this power that you need to have this specific amount of power for. And I am god lengths beyond that, so... And it's like, okay, that's perfectly fine. But for some reason, everybody's questioning how he conjured it. And people are also questioning how he conjured the workforce for all those Star Destroyers. Again, 10 billion Sith. Darth Nihilus had the power to suck out life. So if Darth Nihilus sucked out all that life that he had in his life, and that power is now with Sidious, Sidious having had the power to create life as Anakin Skywalker, when he had only his single power, he needed a vessel to grow the life in, which was Shmi. But now that he is 10,000 times stronger, he doesn't need a vessel. He can just be like, and you have minions now. It was already established that he could create life. It was established that he could create life. And I'll get more on some of that in a little bit. And the cannons, the Death Star cannons. You may wonder, well, how are they so powerful? Okay. A man with 10,000 Sith in him. And then inside of him, a Sith who can suck out life. Little theory here. Maybe, just maybe, and please, if somebody can, do the science behind this theory. If that Sith has the ability to suck out life, what if he imbues these cannons with his powers? So that whenever they are fired at a planet, they suck the life out of it. They suck the life out of it until it is completely dry, no nutrients, no nothing, bone dry like a corpse. And then once it is so dry, it is to the point where even the slightest spark would make this entire thing a powder keg. Isn't that the worry whenever there's a dry season near the 4th of July and fireworks in America? It's like, oh, the grass is too dry, it'll just into flames upon the slightest spark. So if he can just suck out that life and all the moisture from an entire planet, and then have something ignite at its core, boom. Harnessed dark side energy in a cannon. Possibility. Again, I wouldn't question anything that Palpatine can do at this point. He's got the powers of 10,000 Sith. So, we aren't actually given a number. He's just like every Sith ever. It's like, is that 10,000? Is that 10 million? Is that 10 billion? Is that 10 trillion? Is it 10 quintillion? We have no clue. So, again, don't question that power. He just has power. And then the other thing. This is in established lore. Whatever name you call it by, I don't know. Korriban or Moraban, I've heard both. The planet of the Sith. You might think, oh, that's only in the Old Republic. That's Legends. No worries about it. It's in canon. The Clone Wars is canon, right? What planet does Yoda go to? I'm pretty sure in the Clone Wars they pronounce it Moraban, but I'm going to say Korriban because I prefer Korriban. He goes to that planet. The birthplace of the Sith. The home of the Sith. And now this new planet, Exegol, is revealed, and it's like, oh yes, the home of the Sith. And I'm like, so now we have two homes of the Sith. What? What? Is one just the home of the Sith that we knew about all along? And on there is where you'd probably find artifacts that are like, by the way, if you're actually a Sith, you'd know this is actually the place. That I would understand. And if Rey went to Korriban to get the thing to take her to Exegol, I'd have been perfectly fine with that, because home of the Sith, where it's like, actually, this is the home of the Sith, but only people in our order know that. And it's like, oh, well, okay. So, yeah. Something to consider. Okay. other people's reviews. This is the list that I made of other people's reviews, which, by the way, I only watched like halfway into other people's reviews because I was like, I went until I got tired of hearing them talk over stuff that's easily explained. Okay. Angry Joe, he says that possession of Snoke and revival from the ring. Like, the ring that Snoke wears, he was saying that it would be a good idea for Snoke to have been possessed by the Emperor through that ring, and that the Emperor could be then brought back from the ring, basically. I wanted that to happen too, by the way. So please don't think that I'm completely bashing your theory. I'm just saying that fans watching that would then say, there's too much Lord of the Rings in my movie. And it's like, shut up. I don't care if it's too much like Lord of the Rings. It's a good idea. But, I mean, it would have been a good idea. Yes. I wish. Okay. I've already explained hyperspace skipping and how it's like, don't trust what Han says because he doesn't know what he's doing when flying. Okay. The reason that Finn forgets, I love you. Finn, I'm only guessing that he was going to tell Rey that he loves her. But, reason that Finn forgets, he finds a girl he likes better. Everybody else is like, oh, well, he just drops it. And it's like, yeah. About when does he drop it? About when he finds a woman that he likes more. Duh. Okay. Why does Rey love Kylo so easily? Okay. Social experiment. If you and somebody else were locked in a room, completely alone together, if you hated the person, you'd rip them to shreds. But if you were trying to resist the dark side or resist being evil, upon ripping them to shreds, you'd then see, oh shit, I'm supposed to resist this. And then be a good guy towards them. So, their force bond locked them together, basically, and it's like, don't be evil, Kay. And so she just right through him, and then she's like, shit. I was just evil. Well, time to heal him, since I was evil. I'm sorry for what I did. We can kind of be buddies, right? Okay, but I'm going to leave before you can even answer me at all. Bye! And she just takes his ship and leaves him, abandons him there with literally no way to get back. He gets back with a TIE fighter, and I'm like, where did you find that? You'd say, oh yeah, I found it among the wreckage of the Death Star. You're telling me a TIE fighter that's been sitting in the water for damn near 30 years hasn't rusted at all. You're telling me it survived the explosion of a planet, crashing down to another planet, and it just still flies and looks perfectly conditioned, like not even a blemish on it? Do what? Now, there is an explanation for this that can work. Now that I'm thinking about it, there is an explanation for how this can work. That group that was there of the stormtroopers who revolted, they could have had TIE fighters there that could fly around and all that. But then that opens another problem. Why Rey took the skip to get to the Death Star, and they were having trouble with the ship, when the other deserters were like, hey, we got a TIE fighter. You could get on top or sit in the lap of the driver, and we could drive you over there. So there is a problem there if you use that explanation. Okay. People are saying that it undermines Anakin's story. No, it doesn't. Anakin's prophecy was to bring balance to the Force. Vader, Sidious, Obi-Wan, Yoda. I think there's a fair balance, don't you? Huh. Duh. His prophecy wasn't to kill all Sith, it was to bring balance. So no, it doesn't destroy his prophecy. He fulfilled his prophecy before he died. His sacrifice was just to save his son. And did his son live a long, happy life after that? Maybe not entirely happy, but he lived a long life after that. So I'd say his sacrifice was still worthy. He saved his family. Duh! Okay, how did Palpatine come back? So many people are asking this. And it is annoying to me that people just keep asking this. They're just like, oh, did he use clones? He says he used the dark side, but they give no explanation for it. Were you even watching the movies? Like, this was something that was hinted at way long ago. More than 10 years ago, it was hinted at. But you just completely look away from that one scene, or the two scenes that it's referenced. Okay, basically. Well, actually, many scenes in Star Wars 3, Revenge of the Sith. Okay. Let me explain this to you. For one, we already know Palpatine has the power to create life. He made Anakin. Question done there. And then you say, oh, well, creating life of another is something Plagueis could do, but he couldn't save himself. Yeah. Because Plagueis wasn't the one who had the power to save himself. You might think, oh, well, the Emperor said it was Plagueis who had the power. And you're going to trust the Emperor. Really? Great to know where your trust lies. Let me explain this to you. Okay. He tells Anakin he can train him in the power to cheat death. They set up this whole story about how somebody knows how to cheat death. How somebody knows how to create life. Huh. I wonder who that could be. Huh. And he says that it's Plagueis. But one thing gives it away. If you watch Star Wars 3 again, as Anakin is being knighted Darth Vader, what ends up happening? Palpatine says the power to cheat death is something only one has achieved. And if you watch closely to his eyes, when he says only one has achieved, he looks away awkwardly, like a poker tell. It's like the ability to cheat death is a power only one has achieved. And it's like, why'd you just look away? It's subtle. But if you pay attention, It's him basically being like, yeah, that's me, but I'm not going to tell you that, okay? And so many people are asking, how did Palpatine come back? He must have used cloning. He must have used something. Okay, he dropped more bombs hinting to it in Star Wars 3 than Nagasaki blew. Like, a bigger bomb than Nagasaki. Sorry, that joke kind of fell flat. And also, yes, that's an offensive joke. I'm sorry. But, you know, I'm not the first to make that joke. There's thousands of people who make that bomb joke. Not referring to Palpatine and all that, but just making a bomb joke. Tons of people do it. So, basically, I'm sorry I had to explain what was literally laid out for you in Star Wars 3. Why do you need this explained to you? Did you not watch the movie? It's what they hint at the whole fucking movie. The whole fucking one. Duh. Okay. Why did Palpatine announce himself, and why did he send Snoke and not everyone? Okay. This may seem a difficult story to you, but to me it makes perfect sense. Let me walk you through it. Why did he send Snoke? Because the main Jedi heroes who are forming an order to be ready to take him down are still there. That's like just walking into the police department with a gun. Do you think that's going to end well? No, you dumbass! It's like they are ready to take you down, specifically trained for it. Duh! So you send in a little mole, a little spy, who can form up something inside of there that they won't see. Something to be a little spy and kill them from the inside. Make them self-destruct. Then, once they've all self-destructed, which you'll say, oh, it's after Luke's order is gone. Well, I bet that if Palpatine comes back, as soon as Luke hears that, he'll be like, oh, well, never mind. It's not just Kylo now. I'm going to come back into the fight. So, of course, Palpatine is like, oh, God, wait, nope, Luke's still alive. I'm not doing this. But then as soon as Luke dies, Palpatine's like, I have my chance. And the reason Palpatine announces himself, everybody thinks, oh, why not just execute your plan and let that be that? Okay, the plan he was executing at the end was the plan to destroy the entire universe. Just destroy it all. Apocalypse. Boom. Let me explain to you why it's a dumb idea to do that the first time through. Basically, you do that, and for one, it would ruin a story. So you've made a story of your own that you will hate if it ever comes to theaters, because Rey and them would be like, yay, we escaped the First Order. What's that ship in the distance? Da-dun, 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 da-da-da-da-dun. No. Sorry. Now then. Basically, the reason Palpatine announces himself, he wants to rule. So he can't exactly execute that final plan because there'd be nothing to rule over. That him announcing himself was him giving loyalists a chance to come out, him giving a chance for the universe to surrender and be like, okay, I'll be your emperor and we'll continue this from where we started. No worries. But then, when the resistance comes, he figures, okay, I'll just kill these guys off and then take my rightful power and we'll be good. Then when the entire universe comes in with their ships, he's like, okay, now I'm just going to destroy everything. Fuck it. There's no point in trying to rule anything anymore. And so he figures he's just going to genocide everything. That's why he didn't instantly just boom. Because he wanted something to rule. Duh. Okay. Meditation levitation. I saw some people complaining about, oh, Rey can levitate all these rocks and everything while she's meditating. How in the fuck? It is a common thing, whenever a Jedi is meditating, that their force powers become highly attuned, but not within their own control. Whenever Starkiller meditated, all the tools and loose items in the cabin of his ship that he was meditating at started levitating and just floating around, and he had no clue of it. He wasn't controlling it, and he had no clue. And so people were like, well, if Rey can levitate, why can't she just do that? She had no fucking clue she was levitating, I don't think. And when she exited her meditation, I think she was still in a mobile meditation until she came to the ground. Which in that case, you're like, oh, but she does flips and stuff. Yeah, again, when you're in a meditation, things happen differently than normal. Your powers are heightened. You have no control over yourself and the things around you. You are completely in your mind. And so, the only thing that surprised me with that is how the Force put the rocks into circles around her. That's when I was like, now wait a minute, usually it just levitates things randomly around oddly whenever you're meditating. But, okay, I guess that was her, she's found peace and everything, but she still doubts herself when she exits the meditation. Plus there's mobile meditation or battle meditation, which is when you enter a meditative state during a battle. It was often used to deflect blaster bullets and make you completely untouchable by gunfire. It made it to where you relinquished control of your body entirely to the Force, and the Force moved your body for you to protect you by bouncing the bullets away with your lightsaber, and you were just meditating. It's a real canon ability. Look it up. So, yeah, meditation. It's a thing. Star Destroyer summoning. Oh, yeah. Star Destroyer summoning. Again, Sith alchemy. Palpatine has the power of all of the Sith. Just look it up. It's not that difficult. Okay, people were complaining about the Force Link. People are saying it breaks the Force to do anything. It's where you're like, oh, just anybody can Force Link and do these things and blah, blah, blah. No, that's not how that works. Because if you actually paid attention to the movie and everything everybody says, Palpatine is surprised about their link. It's the first time it's ever happened. Meaning, no, not everybody can do it. It's a rare event. So it doesn't break the Force. It's just a rare event. And how do you say it breaks the Force? Jedi could already talk across the universe through their mind. So what's to say they can't now talk visually and all that? Like, it shouldn't be all that unbelievable. Okay. It takes training to learn a Force power. I think I've already covered this, but I'll cover it again slightly. Force powers are based on emotions, and the hand gestures you do with those emotions. As I said, the girl from Star Wars The Old Republic. She gets angry that she's getting beaten so much by the guards that she gets so angry that she just starts crushing their armor around them. She didn't know any force power. She didn't know what she was doing, and she just killed an arena worth of guards. Like, whoops. It doesn't take training to learn a new force power. And then, I already talked about the necklace. How, have you ever been a tourist? That's how it's convenient. New force powers. People were complaining that new force powers were introduced. Force powers can be introduced whenever they want. In fact, most of the force powers are from old canon. Like Legends. Okay. What new force powers were there that I didn't get around to? I mean, I know the next one on my list, but I can't think of any others. Yeah. So, Force Heal as a new force power. People were saying that Force Heal is just a power out of the blue that never had any backstory or anything, never was a thing. Again, Star Wars Legends. Force Heal was a thing. Majorly a thing. Especially in the Old Republic. Force Heal was a thing. So, people didn't complain about it then. Why are you complaining about it now? It's by no means new. You're a little bit behind on your lore there, complaining about it. Why heal the creature? People were saying that the creature she encounters, why not just kill it? Okay. For one, it's the Jedi way. And for two, character growth. Duh. She's trying to fight with being evil. She doesn't want to be evil. How do you prove that you're not evil? Be good. Duh. Okay. And this one was fucking annoying that I heard from Shadiversity. Oh my god. He was saying that this was world-shattering. But if you heard her speak right, it wouldn't be world-shattering. Basically, he did one misquote, and it ruined his entire thing. His misquote was that Force Heal is transferring force energy. And he was saying, well, transferring force energy, everything already has force energy, so either that creature doesn't have force energy, which breaks the thought of everything already having it, or Rey's force energy is just somehow godly. No! She doesn't say transferring force energy. She says transferring life essence. She's transferring some of her life to them, which also makes a major point later that is important to the plot. Giving your life to someone else. That is the whole thing that they set up by saying you're giving your life energy to them to heal them. That's why the ending is what it is. Duh. Oh yeah, next explains that very thing. How is Rey a Skywalker? So many people were like, I don't consider Rey as a Skywalker. She just took the name. I'm sorry, buddy. But in the eyes of the Force, she's a Skywalker. And I'm going to explain to you how. You transfer life energy, right? From yourself to whoever you're healing. Kylo was a Skywalker, right? Huh. He transferred his life energy to Rey so she could live. And he dies giving his life to her. So she's living a Skywalker life. Right? She has Skywalker life in her. She's living a Skywalker life. A Skywalker gave his soul for her. She literally has Skywalker living inside of her. Like a Horcrux. That's why she's able to call herself a Skywalker. Duh! Why did nobody understand that? Seriously. It's like, duh! Listen to what she says. She literally sets up that. It's like a Chekhov's gun. Except you think that it's just the healing set up to heal Kylo later, and then for Kylo to heal her later, but no, it's also set up for her taking the name of Skywalker, since she takes his life essence. Duh! Okay. How does Rey know Force Heal? Not only do you not need to know a Force power to be able to use it, it's just knowing the emotion and being able to channel it. And if you've channeled it once, you might remember that emotion and how you did it and be like, okay, let's do that again. But ignoring that it's that easy to actually learn Force powers, or even create new ones, how did she learn Force Heal? Well, it's established that Leia knows the Force. And it's established that Leia believes that her story will end with her killing her son. And if she's worried about accidentally killing her son, what's the one power that would prevent that? I f***ing wonder. Of course it's Force Heal. It's like, oh, I fear about killing my son. I'll learn the one power that can save him. Force Heal. Huh, that's pretty damn useful, don't you think? So, of course she'd know Force Heal. And of course she'd teach it to Rey. Duh! Another thing that somebody said, and this was Shadiversity, he was like, if Anakin put the languages into C-3PO... I'm sorry, what? Anakin didn't program the languages into C-3PO. Sorry, buddy, but no, he didn't. That... Oh, God. Who owned C-3PO after Anakin? Padme. A super mega rich senator ex-queen. And you don't think that her using him as her main translating droid, she might, oh, I don't know, put a translation template in him that would be omega rich? Huh. You didn't think about that one, did you? No. Why does it wipe C-3PO's memory? Okay. Whenever somebody is trying to access the locked part of the droid's mind, why do you think it might wipe all memory? It's like those vaults or computers that completely destroy everything inside if you try to force your way in. So basically, the guy that's breaking into C-3PO's mind, he can only get one thing. And that's why he double checks with them. He's like, hey, there's this thing in here that is written in Sith from a dagger, and this is exactly what it is. Is that what you want me to grab? Because basically it's like, it will detect a breach in protocol, and will try to wipe everything, and you've only got a chance to grab one piece of information before everything is wiped. And that's why he's like, is this the info you want me to grab? Is this specifically it? Because we only have one go at this. Is this it? That's why he double checks. It's a normal fail-safe for any security protocol that has secret information, to destroy all the information. And so they only had chance. They only had time and a chance to get one piece of information. One. So, using basic security protocols on real life stuff, kind of makes sense that future stuff would have a more advanced version of that, doesn't it? Duh! Okay. Why doesn't Sori Bliss shoot Poe, and why does she like him again so quickly? Have you ever heard of love? Huh. It's a pretty strong emotion. Yeah. So, basically, love. I mean, do I really need to explain more? They used to have a fling. Upon seeing him, she instantly gets emotions again. When they were separate, she thought it was so easy to just off him. But then, when she sees him, she immediately gets emotions. He's still the charismatic man that she loved. How can you kill somebody you loved? Exactly. Okay. How did the Death Star survive crashing to the planet? I heard an argument that said masses that size should have hit the planet and destroyed the planets on anything they hit. Not necessarily. I'd say yes if it were Endor getting hit with those big, gigantic chunks, but Endor doesn't get hit with as gigantic a chunks as the water planet. The water planet, most of the shock is absorbed into the water, which would create tsunamis, but also dissipate the impact so that when it hit the bottom of the water, it wouldn't cause that much damage. The water would dissipate most of the impact. Okay. The people in the throne room seats. Tons of people were like, who are these? Just Sith fanatics that are in robes in the areas? That was the other thousands and thousands of Sith that were inside of Palpatine, manifesting themselves as human forms in the crowd. They weren't really there. They were just to show how many Sith there were inside of Palpatine. Duh! I thought that was conveyed pretty well with the imagery. Guess not. Oh. The other one I heard from Shadowverse City that was annoying. Luke's Force Ghost on Ahch-To catches the lightsaber from the fire and carries it back over to Rey like, you should treat this with more respect. And he said, if Luke can grab the saber, why not he join the fight? Okay. It is in established canon lore that clearly you don't pay attention to at all, that in extremely powerful places of the Force, Force ghosts can do special things. Although, if you're a light side Force ghost, you can only do those special things near a strong light side place. And you cannot go to dark side places. Exegol is a dark side place. Of course Luke can't go there. Plus, he wouldn't be able to bring the lightsaber with him to any place that's strong in the light side of the Force. And then you might say, well, can't his ghost just show up? He can't go near Exegol. And he also can't go anywhere near Sith, because it is also well, I'm not sure if it still is a thing in established lore, but it was in Legends, where if a light side ghost came anywhere near a Sith or dark power user, it would strain their power and start draining their ghostly essence. And there was a power that Sith could specifically use to counter Force ghosts and halt them and stop them from being around, or straight out just suck in their soul and kill them. Yeah, that's a thing. That's why he can't just go to Palpatine and be like, now looky here. Because Palpatine would just go, that was easy. If he could even get to Exegol. And then another thing that was on fans' minds. People were complaining, saying, Palpatine is this wrinkly old, worn out thing and he can't do anything. He doesn't look like the Emperor, he has white glossed eyes and he's near death. Why? Well, no, he's not a clone. Duh! Because, Star Wars 3 dropping hints about that. Duh! And then, yes, you can bring yourself back to life with that dark side power. But it doesn't necessarily bring you entirely to life. It's a dark side power. It fractures you. Think of it like a Horcrux. It only partially brings you back. But you can suck the life out of others, like Darth Nihilus does, to restore yourself. So he just sucks out the power and he becomes more powerful. Duh! It restores him. Anyway, I gotta go.